I'm going to give you the framework right now to design any pitch that you ever want in real estate, whether it's for buyers, for sellers, for investors. You're thinking about growing in a team and recruiting, you're recruiting to your brokerage, whatever that is. There's a really simple framework that I've used for years. I've taught dozens and dozens of agents that know how to use this effectively in their business, and it's made the world of a difference. I'm going to unpack it in pretty good depth here in this video. I've done some short videos about this stuff on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure you follow me there. But I'm going to do a more thorough breakdown in this video, probably more than I've ever done unless I was teaching somebody one-on-one or I was in a group setting teaching my team. So I'm going to walk you through what we call the 5-point pitch framework. Now, the 5-point pitch framework is something that I use in literally every part of any business that I'm in. I have a mortgage team, I have a construction company, a real estate team, and I'm obviously helping grow LPT Realty. And I use this all the time. So in reality, I'm even showing you, like, if you at the end of this, because I know you've already subscribed, liked, and shared the video, right? If you haven't, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're always giving you the best tips in real estate, walking you through exactly what we're doing that's working inside of our businesses. In addition to that, make sure that you like and share this video with anybody that may be having trouble crafting a really good pitch. Now, the first thing I want to talk about before I even get into the framework of the pitch is, why do you need a pitch like this? Why do you need something that you could follow every single time with every single client? Well, the reality is that in real estate, we are commoditized. People look at realtors as another commodity, just like a water bottle, right? They might think, oh wow, all realtors are the same. I want to go see the house on 123 Main Street. Let me just call a random agent who is available, and they'll be just as good as the other agent. And you and I both know that's not true, but that doesn't matter to the consumer right there in the moment. We don't have the opportunity to show them our value. So what we have to do is demonstrate that through conversation and through being able to help them understand why we are different. And so in a commoditized industry like real estate is becoming more and more, you have to know how to differentiate yourself in that market. So that's where the 5-point pitch really comes from. It's in our ability to navigate kind of a minefield, right, of different things that we should be focused on, while also being respectful to our competition, because that's the one challenge that we run into with a lot of other pitches, a lot of other sales processes, is that we sometimes have to throw another realtor under the bus or drag them through the mud, or whatever phrase you want to use about that. And I'm just not about that. I don't like besmirching people. I don't like talking bad about them. And so how can I do this in a way where I can demonstrate that I'm different, that I'm valuable, that I'm better, without making any rude comments or any snide remarks about the other realtor? Now, there's another thing we need to talk about real quickly that I might have just said that might have gotten somebody thinking, which is, am I better or not? There's no such thing as being better. Well, let's be real. LeBron James is better than me at basketball. Doesn't make him more important as a human being, but he is better than me at that. So it is okay to say, I'm better than other realtors, if in fact you are. Now, that's not really going to work really well with the client, so that's why we crafted this 5-point pitch. So let's jump right into that, because step number 1 is what we call expose the broken model. So immediately what you're going to realize is I'm saying expose the broken model, not talk trash about the other agent. When I talk trash about the other agent, it lowers me. It makes me look like I'm a mudslinger, and lots of people are turned off by that. Looks like I spread gossip. Not about that. The thing we want to talk about is the model. Well, I don't care if the other real estate agent is literally a saint, is the best person they've ever met. It's their cousin, it's their nephew, it's their grandma. They're an amazing human filled with love, and all the truth and amazing things about them in the world are true. But they're following a broken model. That is okay. I'm allowed to say that while still respecting the individual and saying they have a broken model. A good example being, I have a ranch, right? And my best friend might say, hey, I just started up a landscaping company, and I want to specialize in ranches, and I want to go work with you, Isaac. I'm like, that's fantastic. I love you. I want to support you. And he shows up with no tools. Not even one. He's like, all right, I'm just getting my gloves out and pull weeds out by hand and see if I can figure the rest out. Well, I still love that person. But now a complete stranger comes to me the next day and goes, hey, I'm starting a landscaping business. I really want to specialize in ranches up here in this area. I've got all my tools right there. And he's got a truck full of equipment and 2 workers. I'm sorry, my best friend, I love you, I want to support you, but the model you're using to run your business, it just doesn't work for me. Right? You can't figure out how to keep a ranch fire safety ready, right? Fire hardened, as you might call it in California, um, with just your bare hands. It's not going to work. So I love you, but I got to go with the people that have the better model. So that's where we're going to start is number one, we're going to expose the broken model. And so what that looks like for buyers, I've actually done a buyer golden script on a different video, but in that script, what we talk about is we help everybody understand that all other agents are using what we call a reactive home search method. The reactive home search method sounds like this. You're just reacting to what's on the market. You're getting an email, you're getting sent a message from a realtor, that you're looking on Zillow, you're driving the streets on the weekends to look for open houses in the neighborhood you want to live in. And so what's happening is you're hoping and praying on the sideline that the market brings the listing that you're looking for to the market, and you're going to react when it pops up. The problem with being reactive is you're reacting to publicly available information. The problem with that is it's public. So other people also know about it. You have no distinct competitive advantage. So what we do is we first expose the broken model, that the reactive home search method is broken because you're just sitting there waiting and you get notified when everybody else gets notified. You have no distinct advantage. Okay. For sellers, what it's going to be is the one size fits all approach and the private showing method. The private showing method is flawed. And it really is. Think about it. The buyer decides, oh, it's 3 o'clock right now. Okay, I want to see this house that I just saw at 5:30 today. Well, they have all the power because guess what? The seller now has to react. They have to jump into action. They have to make sure the house is clean, gather up the kids, go out for dinner, be gone for 2 hours, spend $120 on dinner, come back, and maybe they get some feedback from the buyer. It'd be amazing if the feedback came in the form of an offer. But the challenge is that the buyer is walking around in that house completely by themselves with zero sense of competition. Zero. There's no one around saying, hey, I also want this house. There might be plenty of people interested in that house, but that buyer doesn't know it because they're in a private showing. And so what they're doing is they go, I showed up when I said, and they cleared the house for me because I'm in control. And I'm looking around and I see that little crack and I see that little stain. I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't look great. So I'm mentally deducting money from the price that I want to offer, and I walk out thinking, I wonder what the seller will take, and that creates a buyer versus seller mentality. That's the broken model for sellers, right? And so step number one is, those are just examples. You should spend some more time thinking about what that looks like for your specific sale. But when I expose the broken model, step number two is I have to identify the pain that that model creates. So for buyers, the reactive home search method, the pain that it creates is that you always feel like you're under pressure, you're always under the gun, you have lots of sense of competition, you really feel that, and you are constantly fighting the tide of everybody else inside the market that's also looking for a similar home. And so that's where you get into bidding wars, you have this real sense of competition and urgency, you feel like you're almost kind of just giving up everything, right, in order to get this house, and there's a certain degree of stress there, and then sometimes even after the fact you feel like you overpay, and so there's this real pain that's created from this reactive home search method. For sellers in that private showing method, the problem there is the buyer versus seller mentality, where you guys are butting heads from the gate. They want to take as much as they can from you, and it starts off in this very adversarial position, and it doesn't seem like anybody's really in control, at least from the buyer's perspective. Now, you as a seller, you might know you have 8 other offers and all these other things, but stick with me on this. It creates this pain of, I am now competing directly with the buyer of my house, and lots of animosity can be built up there, lots of tension can be built up there, and ultimately I don't feel like I'm in complete and total control of that situation as a seller. So that's the pain that it creates. So whenever I'm talking with somebody, I'm going to use the buyers as an example, or let's use the sellers. I think a lot of people are focused on taking listings right now. So let's use the sellers. When I'm talking to a seller and we know that the private showing method is a broken model that creates this pain where you're butting heads with the buyer versus seller, right? And that buyer has the you are my adversary mentality. Well, that's a challenge. Now, part 3 is where we introduce our model. And the way that we introduce our model, so again, step 1, identify the broken model, or expose the broken model, should I say. Number 2, identify the pain that it creates. Number 3, we introduce our model. The way I like to introduce our model is using a transition phrase. And that transition phrase typically sounds something like this. So you can see how that creates a lot of pain and a lot of challenges right there with that reactive home search method. It feels like there's a lot of competition. Does that sound familiar? They go, yeah. Go, yeah, totally. And so what we've done is we've taken that model after studying it and we've redesigned, redeveloped, restructured, re-engineered, repurposed, retooled, flipped it on its head, right? These are different options that you have, and you can use any one of those and say, hey, you know what, we took that model, we studied it for a long time, and we completely restructured it, we completely re-engineered it. And what we did is we learned from some of the best sellers on the planet, which are new home developers, and we actually created an entirely different process. And that's when I introduce our model. Now, our model, we use our deep marketing channels to funnel everyone to one large open house grand opening event. You call it mega open house, you call it grand opening, you call it whatever you want. Open house palooza, right? Give it a name. Say, and what we do is we funnel everyone to one grand opening event where they have a real sense of competition. They see other buyers. We book all the showings in this one window, and what we're able to do is create a buyer versus buyer mentality. And here's what we know: when buyers when buyers compete with other buyers, with your home as the grand prize, you win. And that's what we typically refer to as the empowered sale, or as the ultimate sales empowerment, right? Like, you can just name it whatever you want. Give it a name, though. And what I'm doing in that fourth piece, what I just did, was I didn't just introduce the model, but I also identified the results that it creates. So notice it's kind of the mirror image of the first two. The first is expose the broken model. Second is identify the pain that it creates. Then it's introduce my model and introduce and identify the results that it creates. Because when a buyer competes with another buyer as your home is a grand prize, you win. That is a good script that helps them understand, oh, there is a difference in your process. Your model is different and it will yield a different outcome. Now, this is really going to resonate with somebody who has sold a home before in the past, right? Now, for buyers, here's what that sounds like. Well, we've taken that model, we've completely redesigned it, we flipped it on its head, we've restructured it, reimagined it, whatever, right? And what we do is we actually sit down and create a custom blueprint for you and your home search, and we go out and proactively generate inventory specifically for you, with the goal of putting you in front of houses that no one else is seeing, or at least being there first. That's what we call our blank program, first look program, whatever you want to call it. And so what I did in that fourth piece was I introduced our model and the result that it can provide. Now, here's the fifth piece on this 5-point pitch, and this is an important one, how we handle this. All too often, people put this at the beginning of their pitch instead of at the end, and it makes a big difference over time. If you do this over and over and over again, if you were to just test 100 times doing it at the front versus doing it at the end, you're going to find that it's way better doing it at the end, okay? And here's what it is. It's time for us to be able to brag. Finally, a lot of times we like to start off with, well, let me tell you how amazing I am. Let me share with you my stats, and I'm number one. I'm the number one realtor in my area who, by the way, like little asterisk, has the most poodles under 15 pounds or whatever, right? We're all number one in something. And here's the thing. Nobody cares. They only care about your process. Now, once your process, you've outlined that your process is different and that it yields different results, now you've earned the right to brag. So what we call that is the which is why. So when I go through the process, I go, when buyers compete with other buyers with your home as the grand prize, you win. That's what we call the empowered sale, which is why 18 times more people in San Diego choose to sell their home with us as opposed to your average agent. Which is why I've been recognized as the top 5, which is why all your little brags, whatever awards you've gotten, whatever ranking you have, whatever top percentage you are, right? Which is why your neighbor, right, chose to use me as their buyer's agent or as their selling agent, their listing agent. That's a really important part, is being able to say which is why. Because when you say I'm number one, I'm number top 2% or whatever you want to say, they don't have context for it. It's not that they don't care about you as a human. They just don't know what that means. So when we put it on the back end, we say, look, the model is broken that you're currently using or that everyone else is using. Here's the pain that it creates, and it's identifiable and relatable. And from there, here's my model, and here's the results it produces, which is why so many people use me. That 5-point pitch right there, if you spend some time really breaking it down, take some time, take this video, throw it in ChatGPT and say, ask me the question so I can craft my own 5-point pitch. This is a huge thing you should do for your business. It should ask you some questions. Say, ask me 10 questions on how to craft my own 5-point pitch using this framework. Right now, get this video, go to, YouTubetranscript.com. Okay. Type in the URL from here or copy and paste it, obviously. Drop it in. It's going to give you my entire transcript for this video. Throw it into ChatGPT and say, I want to create my own based off of this framework. Ask me 10 questions so that you can write me my 5-point pitch. Now, I wasn't planning on telling you to do that during this video, but heck, I feel like it's the right thing, and actionable videos are the best videos on YouTube, right? So anyways, the 5-point pitch is going to be crucial. Start working on it right away. If you have questions, if you need help, if you feel like, man, if I could just get this one thing answered, I could be able to take this and really use it in my business. There is a link in the description. I know you've already liked, shared, and subscribed, right? Because make sure you subscribe for more tips and keep you updated on everything that's happening in the brokerage world, right? LPT is a big brokerage that we cover a lot. And so I want to make sure and encourage you that we are focused on delivering the highest level of value. So make sure you subscribe. But also, in the description below, there is a link where you can book one-on-one time with me. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the 5-point pitch, walk you through exactly what that looks like. Without anything else, you should be able to use this video to craft a great pitch. And here's the cool thing, you get to go try it out. Go try it out right away, because the degree of separation between an idea and actual implementation, the smaller that window is, the better off you're going to be in your business. So go take action on it right away. I'm done talking. Until next time, happy selling.